Are you as entrepreneurs paying too much overtime unnecessarily? Do you feel that? Or sometimes you feel no, it can work without an overtime, but you are not able to see how. Then this is a must watch for you. Let's take you through how you could use overtime to your benefit and not allow yourself to waste money on overtime. Let's see how we can do that. See, most of the companies face problems on paying excessive overtime or having to engage overtime labor every now and then, very frequently, increasing their cost of production. So if we want to change this situation, there are certain simple tricks that you need to follow. And what are those? Firstly, you need to have a proper planning of how much workforce do you need and what is the constitution of that workforce. Like for example, say it's an engineering workshop. So you need some fitters, you need grinders, you need welders. So your production in charge should be able to tell you, in this month I need 5 welders, 4 fitters, 6 grinders, or whatever may be the combination. Then how much of workforce you are actually having. You are having say 2 fitters, 2 grinders, 2 welders. So whatever is the residual, that needs to either be replaced in a manner where you have overtime for the existing people, or you bring in new people completely who work in another shift. When we talk of another shift, running another shift is a completely what you call fixed expense which you incur for 8 hours. So it's not just the manpower that you're bringing in additionally for that shift. It will be electricity, it will be other expenses, consumables, this, that, everything. So your production person has to look into these facts and understand and analyze that whether paying overtime every day for say 3 hours, 4 hours and running like that for 1 month is going to give you a better result, or instead of having overtime every day, you have an extra shift say 3 days in a week or 2 days in a week. That depends on the load on your shop floor. So this analysis definitely your production in charge can do, because he is in complete control of how he has planned his production, when what activity needs to be performed. So if we can do that, then he will be able to tell you that this is what I need, this is the kind of people I need, and this is how much extra production time is needed. So when you know that, then you can optimally plan either a shift, because what happens is you have to compare the expenses that you incur in a normal shift. Like one shift you have run, the second shift you are going to run probably. Now that second shift expenses need to be compared with the cost of overtime, because in overtime you pay 1.5 times, 2 times, you pay premium. It becomes expensive. So whether it is expensive in the overall calculation term, that needs to be analyzed. So overtime is not always bad. If it is used optimally, taking into consideration the workload, then it makes sense to have overtime as and when it is needed, and use it what you call medicinally, not all the time. Everything cannot go in overtime. The second important thing is that the efficiency of the available workforce, that also needs to be analyzed. Like say for example, a worker packs 10 boxes in say 1 hour, and he is expected, actually the rate of packing should have been 12 boxes. So either his efficiency is less, or his competency, or both is less. So then your shop floor in charge should tell you that whether his efficiency, competency can be improved, or he just needs to be replaced. Because we cannot continue to have inefficient workforce all the time. So this analysis also is very important for us to know that whether it is necessary to add up to the workforce, or it is necessary to add overtime. Means for example, if you have 5 people, you need to analyze the efficiency of all 5 and get to an average efficiency of production. If the person is not able to meet that average efficiency of production, then you need to change him. You also need to analyze that this same person, when he is working in a normal shift, what is his efficiency, and when he is being put into an overtime shift or an overtime working, what is his efficiency. If there is a gap in these two, like in the overtime period, if this same person is working more efficiently, then it is absolutely what you call intentional. He wants to make more money simply. So he is working less in the normal shift and he wants to make more in the overtime. Now these kind of people need to be dealt with differently. They need to be counseled, controlled, and so on. The third aspect is that most of the entrepreneurs, in the wake of saving some pennies here and there, hire very, very less workforce and then believe in engaging overtime laborers all the time. This, instead of saving them money, puts them in a bigger drain of cost. So what you need to do is, you need to analyze that whether my existing staff at their optimum capacity levels is sufficient for the kind of production that I need to make, or I actually need additional staff on a continual basis. Because if every time you are going to substitute this staff by an overtime, you are paying double. We don't realize this. So you might as well hire additional force for the normal shift. You are not paying double. Why would you pay double even if it is for a certain period of time, when you can add somebody to your workforce? Another option that businesses have is, and many of them must be using, I'm sure, is that you have on contract. You have a contract with a labor contractor and hire as and when. Maybe in this month you need 10 additional laborers. So you don't take them on board. You don't take them on your roll. But you can always hire them. Instead of paying overtime, you can explore this option. Now let's take a quick recap at what we just saw. See, planning workforce is not a one-time activity. It is to be done in simultaneously along with your production planning. So the production person has to be very, very skeptical, critical about how much workforce he actually needs. He can have a tad bit extra, but he cannot have too much of extra. So he cannot be demanding that. So if he is going to give you the three things that we discussed, one is a proper production plan with a constitution of what type of workforce he needs, depending on the kind of industry that you are operating. If you are into a packaging industry, you may need more packers or skilled workers. If you are in engineering industry, you may need a different kind of skill set with your workers. So that he needs to give you well in advance. Secondly, he needs to analyze the productivity, efficiency and yield of the workforce that is currently being used for production. Whether it is your own workforce or whether you are hiring on contract, because even if you are hiring on contract, you need to ensure that that contract worker is working optimally as your own employee. Otherwise, again, you will land up hiring extra either through overtime or through an additional person. So production and efficiency, that needs to be seen. Third thing is that you need to check whether your own workforce is a better option, or you need contract or contracted workforce, like a labor contractor you can hire to engage with. Now that is a decision which will depend on how your production person analyzes the efficiency of your existing workers and how well he is able to plan his production. It will help you to optimize costs. See, overtime is not a bad thing. So in our video, we are not trying to make overtime a villain. It is very much needed in all the production units. But how optimally we use it, that is the game. And once you master that game, nothing's going to stop you. Your production will never get hampered because of lack of workforce. So if you have liked this video, Do like, share and subscribe and hit the bell icon.